Planning a wedding comes with timelines, trends, expectations, and a whole lot that couples never see coming. We're two wedding planners pulling back the curtain on what really happens behind I Do. Each week on Behind I Do, we bring you real talk about real weddings, timelines, trends, the wins, and the what ifs. From the smooth as silk celebrations to the did that actually just happen moments, we're sharing the stories, lessons, and insider knowledge that help couples plan with confidence and maybe even laugh along the way. Whether you're a bride, groom, vendor, or wedding lover at heart, this is your backstage pass to the world of weddings, told candidly, graciously, and with the expertise only seasoned planners can offer. Grab your coffee, your planning binder, and your confetti, and join us behind I Do.
Episode 2, Timelines 101, when wedding days stay on track and when they don't. Today we're talking all about timelines. This is one of the most Googled wedding topics and definitely one of our favorite things to do for our wedding clients is to create a beautiful multi-page,
5-page.
extremely detailed wedding timeline. At the end of the day, we always say that if there was a catastrophe and we couldn't make it to your wedding, anyone who's never even been to a wedding before could execute your day perfectly.
Yep, because it's so filled with knowledge.
So we have it all in there.
Yes, here we go.
Here we go.
All right. I mean, the first thing I think we should talk about is mistakes that couple a lot of times make. I mean, first of all, someone just writing their timeline without knowing what they're doing is, I think, a big mistake. But
I'll say another mistake is a ChatGPT timeline. They, as helpful as ChatGPT is, it definitely doesn't understand buffer times and all the nuances of weddings.
Well, and that's like some people, this is a little off topic, but like speaking of ChatGPT, just like where they're like, you know, ChatGPT can write it all. I don't need a planner. And it's just like ChatGPT is not going to be there on the day of your wedding to actually execute it. And then it's like if ChatGPT wrote it and then you just hand it to somebody, it's like you can't, there's no way that it could be 100% like understandable.
Totally.
Or like,
executable.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, I don't know. That just seems wild to me.
Our first mistake that we see when someone comes to us, usually our couples will have kind of a rough timeline in mind. And they think that we can start ceremony at this time and we'll be ready for dinner at this time. And the first issue we usually run into where we give them a little bit of advice is that they don't have enough buffer time. Depending on the first thing that's going to happen, well, your wedding timeline starts as soon as the venue opens or as soon as hair and makeup starts that morning. So we have a full day that we live before your guests start to see when your timeline starts. But the main wedding timeline that people think about is when their ceremony is going to start and then going into dinner, dancing, and all of that.
When is open dancing starting?
When do we dance? So I feel like that's the first issue is that people don't maybe communicate with, say, their officiant. This is the first problem we always see is like the ceremony is either way longer or way shorter than they expected. And on either end, it's an issue because if your ceremony is too long, then it cuts into typically your photo time and then what time cocktails are and dinner. And if it's too short, then your serving staff isn't going to be prepared to have the bar open and to have appetizers being passed.
Right.
So that's something that's our first issue is buffer time. So how are you going to be able to communicate
way,
and get all your vendors like back on track when the timeline changes
and even too, like if the ceremony starts late, like which is very common. Not usually with us, I will say, knock on wood, but I mean that is a thing that can happen. So that's going to push things back. And like who's communicating with caterer, with the bar staff, like things like that. It's like you have to be prepared for
all of it things because it all changes throughout the day so much. So yeah, we have problems with that, not enough time.
And also just with that, something I will say that drives me crazy is like when couples are like, well, we're going to do ceremony at 4:30, but I'm going to put 4 on the timeline so that guests get there on time. Please don't do that because the problem with that is you always have guests who arrive early. So if you say that it's 4 o'clock on your invitation, someone's going to show up at 3:30 or 3:45, but the ceremony doesn't actually start till 4:30. So it's just like, so then you're going to have guests who've been sitting there for
an hour even sometimes
waiting. So it's just, and like we just said, like typically ceremonies, start 10-15 minutes behind. So it's just like, just put the time of the ceremony, and again, if you have, like, a professional planner there, like, we're watching the parking lot, we're like, when majority of the guests are there, like, we start, and if anybody comes late, we pause them and, like, just make sure that everyone the bride gets down the aisle and then let them go sit. So it's like, just put the actual ceremony time on your invites because 'cause you're just gonna cause yourself more headache,
Yeah, and it
I
leads to a
think.
poor guest experience when
Yeah.
someone thinks that it's gonna start at 4, it doesn't start till 4:30. It
Mhm.
just puts
They're just gonna be
guests on a bad
agitated. Yeah.
start
Yep.
for your
I
day.
agree.
Agreed, that's very important.
Mhm. So, yeah, I mean, those are big things to think about, and just, like, with the buffer times too is, like, a lot of our couples or, like, having too much time for something, like, I mean, Allie and I were talking earlier, it's like a lot of couples, like, want there to be, like, 3, 4, 5 hours of open dancing, and, like I said in episode 1, I love to dance, I get it, I mean, I swear we danced for 3 hours at my wedding. Did we really? I don't know, I couldn't tell you, but realistically, like, not all your guests will wanna dance that long, or, like Allie said, you started hair and makeup at 6 a.m., and 10 p.m. might sound early, but, like, in the grand scheme of things, that's a long day that everyone's been staring at you, the pressure, the excitement, it's like there's a lot of emotions going on, so by the time 10 p.m. hits, like, you're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
So, like, being realistic with, like, how much open dancing there needs to be is, like, just a conversation you kinda need to, like, think about.
Totally, and thinking through while your wedding day is for you and about you, we really like to think about the guest experience
Mhm,
because as all of you have probably attended a wedding that there was parts that you didn't enjoy. And
mhm,
so it's important to think through that. And if you have, say, a dancing crowd that you know will stay late, but
mhm,
also half of your wedding isn't going to, it's a great opportunity to move to like a second location. We have a lot of couples that will end at 10, but then they have a designated party bus going to the bars.
mhm.
And that gives your guests like the opportunity to choose their experience, whether they want to go home and go to bed or like
Right.
stay out.
And even the couple at that point who thinks they're gonna wanna party all night, but then that chance to sneak away if they were like, "You know what? Never mind."
We're gonna go to the hotel.
Yeah.
This has been a really long day.
Yeah.
It takes everyone by surprise, and it truly is like the fastest day of your life,
Mhm.
and it goes by in the blink of an eye. So it's
Yes.
crazy. It also sometimes feels like a really long day because it is so many hours that you've
Mhm.
been up and the anticipation and you haven't
Yeah.
slept well for the week.
Right.
So
The
it
nerves, yeah.
leads up to like a really big day. So we always try to think about that when we plan our timeline is like what is the latest start time for hair and makeup to make
Mhm.
it so you can actually sleep in the morning or grab a coffee with your bridal party or do something kind of fun because a lot of people don't wanna be starting hair and makeup at 5. We've
Yeah.
seen
Which that's
4.
another thing why you shouldn't I shouldn't say shouldn't, but when the more people you have in your wedding party, the earlier hair and makeup has to start. So, I
Yes.
mean, like, something to think about. Yeah, I mean, if you have 10 bridesmaids, hair and makeup is gonna have to start at, like, 5 a.m.
Yeah,
'Cause there's just, like, I mean, it takes, 45 minutes per service, so it's like that's another big thing, with timeline mistakes is people don't think about that, like, think about how long hair and makeup actually takes.
and
I mean,
totally, and if it
it's
runs over, like,
Mhm,
are you gonna move photos? Another thing here I think is a good thing to really talk to your soon-to-be spouse about is doing things like first look or family photos before a ceremony, and also understanding that anything that is happening before the ceremony is going to take time away from your morning. So,
yeah,
if you do a first look, if you do family photos before, It it gains you time after your ceremony so you can actually be with your guests, but it also is gonna take away from your morning, and you're gonna have
yeah,
to be ready. Sometimes if you have a first look, you have to be ready by 1 for a 4 o'clock ceremony start time, so
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's like a catch-22 'cause, yeah, it's either if you do first look and photos before, like Ali said, like, it gives you like, you could probably join cocktail hour because you're not doing so many photos after the ceremony, but, yeah, it is gonna push up
everything
when you
else.
have to be ready because, yeah, like,
Yeah,
you have to get photos of you getting in the dress and you if, like, first looks at a different location, like, I mean, there's so
totally.
much thing up which, I don't know, I personally think it's better to squish it in before
Yeah,
than after, I mean, I don't know, that's just my personal preference. Because then after, it's like you're married and you get to just, like, enjoy and, like, not be taking so much
yeah,
time taking photos, but, like Ali said, that's, like, a conversation you have to have with your spouse of, like, what's important and where do you kind of, unfortunately, wanna lose time,
totally.
like,
Yeah, and it
it's
depends.
yeah.
Another thing we like to think about in all of our timelines is gonna be sunrise and sunset,
Mhm.
most importantly, sunset time. because a lot of people like to dance after dark, and depending on, like, what climate you're in, we don't have sunsets till 10 p.m.
Mhm.
Also, there's sunset photos to be
Unless
taken.
it's in the winter, then it's like 5
Yes,
o'clock.
then it's 5 o'clock. So, it really depends too. We like to think about weather. We live in Idaho, so we definitely get all 4 seasons. So, if you have a 4 p.m. start time versus a 5 p.m. start time, the sun could look totally different.
Mhm.
So, if you're in a place that maybe would get shade at 5, that could be a great consideration. Maybe we shouldn't start the ceremony till 5 because we can keep guests in the shade longer, and then we
Yeah.
can go until 11. Or do we wanna
Mhm.
kinda walk through, like, our favorite timeline, like ceremony start times?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we could.
Yeah,
Just like our basic I mean, we always tell couples like timeline or ceremony is usually 4:30. Like that's a
that's
pretty
our favorite.
common like it just seems to flow the best because I mean, it's hard to though if it's like a Friday wedding. I mean, that's something you might want to consider not doing because of traffic or if you have a lot of in like I don't know, like if people have to
People work
work or if they're driving in traffic, like that's something to also I guess consider, but typically
Saturday.
Saturday wedding, 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m. ceremony. We usually buffer 30 minutes for the ceremony. So then it's like say ceremony's at 4:30, cocktail hour starts at 5,
Yep.
and then you at least have an hour for cocktail hour. We don't recommend doing more unless you're going to have food. So like if you have
Yes.
appetizers like and you need like say you didn't do a first look and you need more time
You
for
need 90
photos.
minutes or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
like say you need an hour and a half, like that's fine, but you need to make sure you have appetizers for your guests because
They will be starving.
they will be starving
And you
because
will be
that's
too. And we'll
yeah,
bring you food.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, let's say, we just went with the typical, so it's 5 to 6 is cocktail
Cocktail hour.
hour. Guests are starting to sit. We would do grand entrance 6:15. Again, that's just buffer time because it's gonna take your guests
A
eh
while to move from
yeah,
ceremony
to
cocktail hours
sit,
area.
stop talking, listen to directions, all the find their
Exactly.
seats, especially if it's assigned seating, like,
Yep.
you
Escort
kinda need to give
cars, you gotta
15,
figure it out.
20-minute buffer time for people to sit. So then, like, grand entrance is 6:20. You guys come in, go straight to your seats, and then dinner would probably be like 6:30 is when we would start releasing tables or when, if it's plated, dinner would start coming out.
Yep.
So, I mean, that at least gets you to dinner. And
Yeah.
then dinner, it's just
This is really dependent on your head count and
yeah.
style of, is it plated? Plated usually takes a little bit longer,
Mhm. Food
depending on your
trucks,
yeah. We have food trucks, we have buffet. Always an hour for dinner. I would never
at
do less than
least.
that, but I
Mhm.
think an hour up to
Hour and a
2
half.
hours,
Yeah.
I mean, depending on
If it's a
how
big
many
head count.
courses
Yeah.
it is, like, it really depends on that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, yeah, open from there 7:30 to 8. At some point between there, you're gonna go into a typical flow that we like to see is toasts, dancing, cake cutting,
Yeah.
open
Toast,
dance
formal
floor.
dancing. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how we
And we
move
like to
along.
do the toasts. I mean, like Ali was saying, I mean, typically it's like towards the end of dinner,
Yep,
like once the last table receives their food, we like to start toast because it's like then everyone's still seated, they're listening, they're eating, there's not a lot of talking going on.
yeah,
And it just seems to be because then also things you have to think about, like we've had couples that are like, we do like toast and then straight into cake cutting and straight into formal dances. And they're like, it just feels rushed. And it's like, it might sound like it's being rushed, but in the moment, it's not. And again, back to the guest experience, like your guests, not to be rude, but want to get on with it. Like they
yep,
don't want things drawn out because if like you're doing toast and then there's like a long pause of like 20 minutes of nothing happening, the guests that got food first or kind of who are done now are like, what am I supposed to do? So it's just a nice transition to be able to get the toast done, go straight into cutting your cake, do your formal dances, and then it's open dancing. And it's like it gets all the important things done and then allows your guests to just have fun.
totally. Yep,
And then, I mean, send offs are most venues around here have to be music has to be off by 10. So a lot of our send offs like around like 9:45. Some will do it right at 10, but it just kind of depends on the venue.
yeah,
And then out by 11.
which send-offs take a little longer than you'd
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
We love a private last dance. That's
Mhm.
like a trend that kinda came in, like, 2 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
I hope it stays forever because
Yeah.
it's a really sweet way to, like,
Just
end
have
your wedding
that
day
private moment while we're wrangling your
while your cat's outside trying to get that one
with the
area.
sparklers and not
Yeah.
lighting them.
Not lighting each other on fire. Then we go into that. And then, yeah, we wanna send you off, and then we like to allow at least an hour for cleanup crew
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So, it's important to build that in. Some venues are very strict on like a out time. So
Mhm.
I know like our city venues are very strict, and if you're not out, there's a fine. So
Mhm.
making sure that you know the ins and outs of your
Yeah.
venue.
Which again is why it's nice to have a professional because the thing when you have a team, again, like I said, we're not drinking. And it's like we know where everything came, like what box it all came out of. So it's like we put it all
We
back
set
in
it
that
up,
box.
we put it back.
Yeah, it's just so much smoother, and we have such a system that it's like, I mean, an hour teardown is easy.
Totally. And I think too, back to the 4 or 4:30 start time, this really gives your setup team time because most venues you aren't
Hmm.
able to access until 10 a.m.
Yeah,
So if you have a 2 p.m. ceremony start time,
and you have a really extensive setup.
it doesn't work.
It's, I mean, it would be
It
tight.
can, but it's not ideal. And it
Yeah,
really puts too much into those first 4 hours of the
yeah.
day. And
I mean,
it's just
and
not a good
again,
flow.
it's like there's no like hair and makeup for all those things. It's just like if your ceremony is before 4, it's just.
You're gonna have to change locations because you'll have to start makeup at a hotel or an
Hmm.
Airbnb and then move. It's just a lot more moving pieces than it needs to
Yeah,
be. So,
agreed.
that's like our ideal
Agreed.
that would be our best advice for a
Yeah,
perfect
yeah,
wedding timeline.
agreed. Yeah, I mean, another speaking of other mistakes too, I mean, that people don't think about, again, that aren't the fun parts of it is like, again, like the like kind of what we were just saying, like the loading, load out. Like if you have a wedding that you have multiple vendors, like one vendor's bringing the tables and chairs, another vendor is bringing, I don't know, linens,
Yeah,
and then the DJ, and like everyone is like has different, you got a lounge set up. Like logistically, you have to think about it's like, okay, well, we don't have access to the venue till 10. We need tables and chairs set up by this time, and just like logistically thinking about like, and I think that's something that is a mistake that people don't think about. They just are
totally.
like, I don't know, the vendors will figure it out. And it's like, well, yeah, but then they all show up at 10 o'clock and then they're pissed because like the florist got there first, no against a florist, and they're unloading, and it's like, that's not like a time sensitive thing. And it's like, so it's just like thinking logistically, like, okay, we need tables and chairs to arrive first. So those can get unloaded, and then linens, and then flowers, and then the DJ, whatever. So, I mean, and same with like, load out, especially if you only have an hour to load out. Like, logistically, you have to be like, sometimes
Super
we have
prepared.
some vendors showing up at like, 10 or even 9:30 that we like, like the plates and stuff that we don't need that we can be
Yeah,
handing them to them early or whatever. So,
totally. And another thing too with like really intricate designed weddings would be like drapery, lighting,
yeah.
and like ceiling installs, like making sure those happen first because
Hmm.
all of that, say they like drop a drape or like the flowers are dripping
Right.
and then they drip on your linens. Now we have to get new linens.
Yeah.
And so like thinking of like top down too of
Like
like
who has to go
who has
first?
to go
Yeah.
first. When we not all venues, but too like some the Grove or hotel venues for us have loading docks if
Yeah.
they're in a like
They're very
downtown
tight.
location. And those are like really strict rules because you maybe only have one or two loading docks and
Mhm.
only one car can like fit in there at a time and can use a service elevator. So those are when it gets really intricate and you have to make sure that you have a perfectly executed vendor load in and load
Yeah,
out
for sure.
because they can't all be there at once.
Yeah, I agree.
So it makes it tricky.
So, yeah, I mean, those are I feel like we talked a lot about different mistakes. I feel like we could go on for hours about this.
We love timelines if you
I
can't
mean,
tell.
it's just, yeah, timelines we could talk forever. And I think it's just something too that again, I mean, not to like beat a dead horse, but it's just like there's so much more that goes into it. It's not just like even if like you Googled it or Pinterested it, like yes, it's gonna give you like a basic outline, but like I wish I could just visually show you like one that's like there's so much detail, there's so much things that go into it. Like Allie said that it's like I could hand my timeline to my sister who's not a planner, and like she would be able to read verbatim like everything that's supposed to be happening, and like when it's supposed to be happening, and who's doing
Who's
it,
in
and
charge of
like
it?
all the things. So it's just like that's the thing where it's like some people are like, yeah, I'll just go to Pinterest and get a timeline. It's like, sure, you're going to get a basic timeline, and
And
it'll,
it'll help you.
yeah, it'll help you. It's a great starting point. But it's just like we said, there's just so much that goes into it that it's like, I don't think people realize like how much like, I mean, how many hours we spend on these things. So,
Totally. And I think something that we hear a lot when we also talk to, we always ask, why are you hiring a planner?
hmm,
And people say, like, I can tell the difference whether I'm at a wedding that has a planner or if I'm in a wedding that has a planner or
yeah.
not, because it truly has a different feel to the wedding
Hmm.
day.
And
It's
flow.
very relaxed. It's very under
Unless
control.
I don't know, I've heard some planners that are
Some
pretty
but for the guest experience,
Yes,
at
no,
least,
I
it's, like,
agree.
very yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a very smooth day, and you
yes.
can tell that it was professionally done,
Mhm.
and that's kind of our biggest thing, when
And I
people are like, "My aunt could do it," or
Right. And it's like, yeah, she could, but I think too, like, yeah, to that point, the aunt thing, it's like there's too much emotion with your aunt is too emotionally attached. Like, not that we don't care and we're not emotionally attached to our couples. Like, a lot of our planning couples, like, become our good friends. Like, we want to be their friends, but there's just not that emotional piece. It's more of like a business piece of like, no, this is what the bride wanted. This is what we're gonna do. Like, even if we don't 100% like agree with it, or we're like, not even agree with it, but like say like the color choices, and we're like, oh, okay. But it's like it's whatever you want. Like we're
totally.
doing what you have asked versus like, the day of, it's like if I was your aunt, I'd be like, well, she really wanted this, but what I think would be better is this. So it's like I just don't think I mean if I was a bride again, I'd be pissed if my aunt was in charge.
Right, and it's kind of like an unbiased third party. I think that's
Mhm,
something that we also notice is we do kind of play like a mediator a lot in
mhm.
between
A
vendors
lot.
and also in between family members because at the end of the day, like we always say, we work for our couples and like
Mhm.
ultimately that's who is our client.
Yep.
And so if they wanted something done a certain way, we get to be the ones that say, like, sorry, this is what Sarah wanted and this is how we're going to proceed.
Right.
And I think when you ask a family friend or a family member to do it, it puts them in a really awkward position
Or even
sometimes.
like a newer planner or someone who like
Isn't confident.
doesn't have that confidence. Yeah.
Totally.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It
yeah, because
makes
we
for
get confronted all the time by like moms. Sorry, moms. Or I mean, even aunts sometimes who were like, no, I want it done this way. And it's like, well, it's sorry. It's like, like you said,
yeah.
Sarah, this is how Sarah wanted it. And it, like Allie's saying, in a way, it's like, not that I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but I don't really care
Yeah.
what the mother wants if it's not what the bride wants. It's like at the end of the day, it's like this is what we were like told to do and this is what we're doing. And I think that's what's nice for the couple is it's like it's not them having to like tell them no. It's us telling them
Totally.
no. And it's like, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, and we'll have brides come to us and say explicitly, like, if my mom asks you to use this wedding cake topper, like, please tell her no
Yeah.
and let her know that this is the one that we're using. And we get to deal with those conversations on your wedding day and smooth things out. And
Hmm.
I think it's just taken better from either side
Yeah.
coming from us than it ever would be coming from you.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
really nice, like, scapegoat. And we're
Totally.
happy to, you can blame us for anything.
Totally. I mean, I agree. But like I said too, I mean, back to like the when I made the comment about the some planners, which I just, I hear horror stories of like I've also people we talk to where it's like there was a planner, but she was like screaming. And it's like on that note of like we are not afraid to like stand up and be like, no, we're not doing that. Like this is what we're doing. Like we have backbones for sure. But also there's that line of like we are professional. It's like I don't think I've ever screamed have I wanted to? Probably many
We
times.
haven't.
But I think that's just the thing too, like when you're thinking about also hiring a planner, it's like which this could again be in a whole other podcast, but just like when you're hiring your planner, it's like I always tell people you should interview like 3 planners at least and like their personality. And it also helps too if you know people who have worked with them because I just think that is a big thing and like reputation and like how they carry themselves and how they talk to people and it's like we are really big on like being professional and obviously there is a line sometimes where we have been talked to very disrespectfully and like I will match them. I will be like you're not going to talk to me like that. So I think there is a line but just something with that. It's like I think there is also a line of how some planners choose to act and I don't agree
Yeah.
with. But
Well, and
so
I think too, it is it's a stressful day.
yeah.
Like, period. It's
Mhm.
stressful for everyone involved and it's like it's high stakes. It's
Yeah.
your hopefully your one and only wedding day and
And think a lot of the stuff on the timeline you can't redo.
yeah, if it doesn't happen that day, like it doesn't happen. So
Mhm.
we take that very seriously.
Mhm.
And I think that it's good to talk to people who have worked with your planner before because the
Yeah.
way that I am day to day is not the way that I run myself on a wedding day, like match for match. So
Like we said, Allie's not A-type, but
not A type, but you get me on a wedding day and like everything will
yeah,
go to plan because it's really important to us. And so I
yeah.
think it's nice to really get to know your planner because you do spend a lot of time with them
Mhm.
and they really do. work together with all your vendors, but they kind of control the tone of the day and, like,
For sure.
set the expectation for vendor communication and for all of that.
Yes.
So,
So
make
if
sure
they're
that you
super
find someone.
stressed, everyone's gonna be stressed.
Exactly, and it just leads to, yeah, such a different
Mhm.
feel of your wedding day. So, if you want to have a really executed type A planned wedding and that's how you want to feel on your wedding day, like, that's great. Like, someone
Right.
like Jane's great for you. I have definitely more relaxed, like,
Mhm.
brides that want I think that, like, come to me because of that. So I think it's just really good to
Yeah,
know who you're working with.
agreed. For sure. All right. I mean, we've kind of talked a little bit about flow, but just kind of, I mean, I feel like we're already on our soapbox of like wedding planners and why you need one, but like just kind of why planners help keep the day flowing. And I mean, I think we've talked a little bit about it, but I mean, I think the biggest thing is, like we said, like being able to create a very well written timeline is like the basis of that.
Totally.
And then also, I mean, we always joke and say we're like the timeline keepers. And it's like we're the ones who are like making sure things are happening when they're supposed to, or like we said, thinking 2 steps ahead and be like, oh my gosh, okay, the ceremony is starting 10 minutes late, but then it actually ended 5 minutes early. So now we're, moving things, communicating with your caterers, like being like, okay, actually, we need dinner's going to start 15 minutes early. Are you guys ready? And if it's not, like, what can we do to kind of prolong things or whatever?
Yeah, fill in that buffer time
Yeah,
and keep a good guest experience.
for sure. And like we always tell our couples too, it's like our goal is that the day of your wedding, you shouldn't even have to worry about what time it is. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like,
Yeah,
we know what time it is. We will tell you, "Hey, we're gonna get ready for toasts. Do you need anything to drink? Do you need to go to the bathroom?" Like, that kinda stuff. It's like, that is our job is to, like, nobody has to worry about anything.
totally. And we love to tell our couples, like, timelines are a rough draft of how the day
Mhm.
is going to go. And we're not like committed to the 30 minutes that you got for this. And
Right.
if it doesn't, if something goes over or less, like we are
It's not a
super
big deal.
flexible on our timelines. And we always say, like, we're the only ones, like, between the vendors and the couple that knew what your timeline looked like.
Right. The
So
guests
if
have
we
no
need to
clue.
change something, we
Mhm.
always can.
Yeah.
Like, we
Or
can
cut
move
something
it.
out. Like, we've had
Yeah.
couples who are like, "You know what? I don't wanna do that anymore." And
It's
it's
like,
like,
great. No one
"Alright.
will ever know because
Yep.
they
We'll
didn't
just
know in
keep
the
on
first
trucking."
place.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
think that's important, like, to remember too. And yeah, to not try to keep track of your own timeline on your wedding day. We have had the sweetest, like, groom this year, and it's like, it's okay. Like, your wedding is
Yeah.
our schedule,
Yeah.
and you just get to
Yeah.
enjoy
I
the
mean,
day.
he
Like,
kept that one and he kept meeting me at the door by the caterer and was like, "And what time is it? And what are we doing next?" And I'm like, "I need you to go enjoy."
yes, like, that is not your job on the day of your
Yeah.
wedding, and we want to make sure that you know that and that you feel, like, so comfortable to
Mhm.
not to just
It's
lose
just
track
like
of time.
let
And
be present. Because like Ali said, the day goes by seriously so fast.
yeah,
And so it's like you just wanna be present for as much as you can because
it's gonna be over,
yeah, you're
and you
gonna
can't get it back.
yep, yep, exactly. So yeah, I mean, those are big things that why I think a planner like helps just keep it flowing. And I just think again that communication piece with like all your vendors, because I think that's a hard part. If you don't have a planner or one who is very well experienced, it's like they're not thinking 2 steps ahead. They're not able to like do one thing and then also be like telling the DJ another. I mean, I remember one time my husband assists sometimes and he's like, it's just so fun to watch you because it's like you're like fixing a table, but then a guest is also talking to you, but then you're like doing something else. It's like he's like, you're always like just but you always just look calm and you're just like doing multiple things. And it's like I think that's like the thing with that comes with experience is that you can like be calm and be like, we're all okay, and like nobody needs to panic. And yes, I will fix that for you. And like it doesn't matter that we're 15 minutes behind schedule because we'll make it up. Like things
Totally.
like that. I mean, I think help for sure.
Gives you that peace.
And like I said, I just truly think there is something with experience, like with it. Not, I mean, we all have to start somewhere. Like I started 8 years ago and I wasn't, I mean, I still feel like I was pretty good, but, but
Your
we,
timelines weren't as good,
yeah,
though.
no,
That's
they
for
weren't.
sure.
But it's like we all, like, yeah, every year we've learned and grown and it's like gotten to where we are. But it's just like there is something with that experience of like that allows us to be so calm. Like, yes, I am a very A type planner, but it's like I've been told by multiple people that are like, you're the calmest planner I've ever met. And it's like that's our goal.
Yeah, and speaks volumes to how prepared we are for the
Yes.
day, which is directly
Yeah.
related to
And
how well you wrote your timeline.
right, exactly. So it's like, and we've had, which is kind of next, like the what ifs of like, we've had so many what ifs happen. And it's still like, okay, we're fine. And this is what we're going to do. And, maybe behind the scenes a little in our head or when
A
we're,
little panicky.
yeah, we're like, but, that's like, but I think again, that's what comes with experience. And again, if you have Aunt Julie or, a friend doing it, nothing against them, but it's like they don't have the experience that allows them to be calm.
Totally, and they haven't faced it, and
Yeah.
that's what we always say, that every wedding we learn something new,
Mhm.
and we do such a nice job communicating with each other, like,
Yeah.
what we learned, and then, like, we'll always text each other like, "Oh my gosh, add to bustle the dress, like, at
Yeah.
this time in the
Yeah.
timeline,"
Yeah.
because there's been times where we needed more 15 minutes to bustle the
Yeah.
dress and we didn't have it or something like
Yeah.
that, so I feel like that's something
Which that's a great thing that we should have talked about with timelines too, that everyone should know is like when you're bustling your dress.
always,
Not to like go off on another tangent, but like
but
it
add that to
always,
your timeline.
yeah, it always gets forgotten. And a lot of brides do it like after formal dances, like once open dancing starts, unless you're changing outfits. But like, or if you need it up for your first dance, like really thinking about that, making sure there's, I mean, like Allie said, at least 15-20 minutes because even if it's a simple
Bustle.
bustle,
Still, you
it's,
go upstairs or wherever your, like,
yeah, then you have to
changing
go to the
room
bathroom, you're gonna
was.
touch your makeup on,
It's a
like,
whole thing.
it's a whole thing. So
It takes a
please,
while.
like, allocate 20 minutes at least for that. Sorry,
Yes. No,
that's
it
my
was
tangent.
perfect. These are the things that, like, come up, and when they come up to the first time, that's when you get a little panicky, but we add them in, and that's the
Uh-huh,
best thing about working with people who have done hundreds of weddings
mhm.
because every time we learn something
We're like,
new
"Yeah, been there."
and we've been there, we've done that.
It's always kind of exciting, I will just say, when there's something new that you're like, "Oh,
That
we
was
we can
different, and I tackled this.
add this to our
Yeah, but
toolbox."
we've had, like, vendors be late. This
Mm,
usually happens, the worst case scenario is gonna be at an out of town wedding. So
mhm,
McCall, Stanley, Sun Valley, somewhere that's a little bit harder to get to, and they're an out of town vendor, which we
right,
often bring vendors from Boise to those places.
right,
So, like, the bar staff has been late to a wedding, and these are things that happen that we really try to allow for room. We've had,
yeah,
like she said, a DJ. There was a huge forest fire that shut down basically all the highways
yeah,
one summer
yeah.
here. And he,
He went one way when we were all supposed to go the other way up, which, like, he's one of our great friends and
yeah,
things happen. Like, it's not a big deal.
totally.
But because we were there, it was like which I'm not saying I can be a DJ at all, but
We don't want to be.
no, but we were able to, because I had my phone and I downloaded the songs for the ceremony, I was able to be the DJ for the ceremony. So it was like, nobody panic. Like, the
We
venue
still have music,
had a speaker. I played the songs. I stood in this tree and was telling him when to go, pushing the next song. I mean, was it ideal? No, but like,
but we had a plan for
yeah.
it. And we now,
And he luckily made it for the reception, so I did not have to be the DJ
we did
first.
not have to do it later. So,
Because I don't know truly what I mean. We'd have to do our worst case scenario of a Spotify playlist
yeah,
and just,
we would
but
rock it.
please don't do that.
It would work. It would work. We've had elements are probably, like, our most challenging.
Yeah,
We're gonna say
weather.
wind's our least favorite. We can handle rain pretty well.
Hmm.
But wind is gonna take out all of your prettiness, your
Yep.
decor, it's gonna take out your plates,
Flowers.
flowers, tents,
Well, plates if they're plastic.
even glass. We lost glass
I mean,
plates
I guess that's true.
2 summers ago in McCall. Just a huge storm came
Oh, that's
across the
true. Yeah.
lake and took everything on the whole table, linens and everything included. So those are, like, things that you also just want to have a backup plan for, and B, like, a really good first plan. Like, if you're doing an outdoor ceremony, don't have plastic. That's
Yeah.
our, or
Like
our
a
reception.
reception. Yeah. Like
Like,
if you're doing a full outdoor wedding, you need to have real, or everything needs to be at the buffet.
totally.
Like it should not be on the table because it's not going to stay.
It's not gonna stay, and
I mean,
we
unless you live somewhere with very calm climate, but we live in Idaho and I mean, it could be 85 and then snowing. Like it's just, I mean,
you never know.
you just don't know.
So those are all things we wanna plan for. They're not, like, ifs or whens. So
100%
there's always gonna be something that comes up on your wedding day that has to be
adjusted.
emergency adjusted.
Yeah, for sure.
And those are just all things we wanna have in our timeline for, like, a plan B, or
Mhm.
if X happens, we will do Y.
Yeah.
We just need
Yeah.
some sort of
Mhm.
game
Like a
plan.
big thing is always ceremony usually.
Mhm.
Cuz most of the time here, I mean, we have some venues that are all outdoor, but some it's like ceremonies outside, but receptions inside. So we don't really have to worry about reception. But yeah, like on your ceremony for the timeline, there should be a plan B is what?
Yeah, and
Like,
we live in Idaho. In June, it should be beautiful. In July, it should be beautiful, and we've had rain
mhm.
every month. So as much as you want to bank on your
Yeah.
day being perfect and you can
There
hope and
has to be a plan
pray,
B. And I think
there
that's
has to
another
be
big
another.
thing with coming with a planner. It's just like if it's a good planner, they're gonna have a plan B. They're gonna talk
Always.
to you about a plan B. If
Totally.
they don't, I wouldn't hire them
Yeah.
because it's just like Allie said, it's not if or what ifs or it's something will happen.
Yes.
Like every even it might be small,
Totally.
but like yeah. I mean, there should be a plan B if your ceremony's outside for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's other things that can affect the timeline too. Like, transportation is late. Like, we've had a lot of venues where it's a little bit out of town. So everyone's staying like downtown and there's transportation taking everyone to the venue. And it's like, that could be 20 minutes late.
Or if
Like,
there's a crash on the freeway and that's the only
yeah,
way to get there.
traffic's really bad because it's a Friday wedding. And it's like, so I mean, just things that we have to like accommodate and think through or,
Yeah.
plan
And make sure you have a
on
good
when.
chain of like communication too between every vendor and your planner
Yes.
because
And making sure that which not all vendors even listen either, even with this, is like, who is the day of contact? Like having your planner's number, this is a person you call. But I mean, like I said, I still have had vendors like the day of call the bride, and it just like aggravates me. But it's
yes,
like
don't
that.
do that, vendors.
Yeah, please don't. But like that is like, if there's an issue or something come up, it's like call the planner, call the person in charge so that it's like we can try to diffuse it before talking to the couple. Like that's always our goal is like we can diffuse it or even, yeah, not even tell them. Like it didn't
Yeah.
even matter.
Yeah, most of our couples don't know the
Yeah.
emergencies that happened at their
Yeah.
weddings, and that's our goal.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
So for building your own timeline, if you don't have a planner, these are like things that we think you should definitely consider.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and just like if photos take longer or, I mean, that's usually, or hair makeup takes longer. I mean, those are things that commonly happen that you have to like account for. So,
But our best tip of all is to hire a professional planner.
well, of course, that's,
Obviously,
yeah.
like you need someone who has done this, who is calm and confident and can
Hmm.
execute everything that day, regardless of what happens. If it snows on the 4th of July, like you want someone who can make sure that
Yeah.
everything gets done the way that you wanted.
Mhm.
So,
As much as possible. It's like we
yep,
tell couples sometimes there's just I mean, like we had one where it's like it was a June wedding and the ceremony was supposed to be outside, reception was inside. We were like waiting as long as we could. And it's just like at some point, like we have to set the chairs. So it's just like we had to move the ceremony inside. And it's like, luckily that venue had garage doors and there was like a lake view. So we still made it work and she still got the lake view and it was like fine, but it wasn't 100% what she wanted, but it was,
the
as
best compromise
right,
we could come
the
up with.
best option we could have, which, is better than, ever like nothing. So it's just things like that it's like we always tell a couple, it's like we want to do what you want first and foremost. But like we always say too, is like you need to trust us that like at the end of the day, we're gonna do what is in your best interest and like what's possible. So
Totally.
so yeah. All right. I mean, I guess now just tips if you're out there writing your own timeline, not hiring a planner. Tisk tisk.
Tisk tisk. Um, Step one, build in more buffer time than you think.
Yep.
Give yourself plus or minus 30 minutes
Hmm.
on everything that you think and know in your head that,
Except ceremony start time
yeah, accept ceremony
on
start
your
time.
invite.
But
Put the actual time on your invite.
yeah, give yourself the time to have things come up and
Hmm.
not stress out about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said earlier, like being okay that things aren't might not happen exactly as the time that's listed on the timeline. Like it's not set in stone, like being flexible with it. I mean, obviously in reason, but yeah, and just really talking through the timeline with your vendors obviously is a big one, getting their input and their approval. Like when we do timelines, we send it to every vendor 2 weeks out so that everyone has the exact same timeline. If they don't know us, we introduce ourselves. And then because unfortunately, a lot of vendors don't read the timeline. So, and then we get questions like the day of, like, where am I setting up? Or what am like, what time am I starting? And just from a planner, it's very frustrating. But
Side note.
side note. But so because of that, like, and we'll email the DJ, attach the timeline, attach the layout, and then also like in the main part of the email, like bullet point, like this is what time we have you arriving, this is what time ceremony starts, this is what time toasts are, like anything that have to do with the DJ, we make sure to like bullet point in the email so he's like kind of getting it twice.
And, like, if he's bringing a disco ball, like,
Yes. What
let's remind
items are you
him,
bringing?
like,
Yeah.
"This is what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Is this still happening?"
Yeah. That's another big thing in our timeline. Not to give away all our nuggets, but every vendor that's there, we list under like their arrival, like everything that they're bringing, even flowers, like down to like how
The
many
type, the
boutonnieres.
color,
Yeah. Like we have
we
it
wanna
all
know.
listed because it's like we just want to, I mean, A, make sure, like we said, if we ever had to pass it to somebody, but I mean, also for us, it's helpful because, we're planning a lot of weddings at a time, so it's hard to keep track of, like, what's happening, so it's nice to be like, "Oh, yeah, this is what we're supposed to be having," but
This was the
also
wedding that had
yeah,
flower crowns.
yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
But it also keeps the vendors accountable of, like, "This is what you said you were bringing, we gave it to you 2 weeks ago, like, you approved it, like, you should have brought it," kind of a thing, so and just, yeah, getting their input of, like, "You know what, actually, like, at this venue, I like to get here 3 hours early instead of 2," like, whatever it is, so
Totally, because 'cause you're never, especially if it's your first time planning a wedding, but also if you haven't worked with that vendor before, you're not gonna know how much time a caterer
Mhm.
needs to prep a charcuterie table. Like,
Right,
those are all questions that you really need to actually get input on,
right.
and so we try not to assume anything, we
Yeah,
just try to connect with our vendors
yeah.
and make sure that they feel like it's adequate
Heard,
time.
right. And that's, like, something I think we try to be very
Respectful?
respectful of them,
Yeah,
like, I just like Ali said too, like, we are the planner and, like, yes, we're in control like, we are kind of in control, but I want all our vendors to feel like we're all equal, like, we are not, like, their boss, we are not telling them what to do,
we're all on the same
we're all on the
team,
same team,
same
our
goal.
job is to work together to execute exactly what the couple wanted. But I think then on the flip side of that, that's why it's nice to have a planner so that if a vendor isn't doing what they've agreed to, like you have a professional who's like holding them accountable. Like,
Totally.
no, this is what you were supposed to be doing. But yeah, like I just like it to be very known, like hair and makeup, they all like to do things a little differently. A DJ, like we like to be very respectful of like, this is what we had, but please let us know, like, if you want to adjust anything or whatever. Like, we like everyone to like agree 'cause otherwise, if you don't, it sets the tone for the day very
Negatively.
hostile. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I guess the last big actionable tip is, I mean, obviously hire a professional planner. Someone who's not related, someone who's not a friend, and I think just too, I always tell couples, like, do your research. Like I said, we all have to start somewhere, like, yes, we're 8 years in, and yes, 8 years ago, we were brand new, but I just think depending on the kind of wedding you're wanting, how many guests you're having, like, if it's very formal black tie, like, I wouldn't necessarily go book the cheapest planner. Like, just do your research, interview multiple planners, make sure you like them, and, just again, I just don't look at the cost of a planner and immediately go, "That's out of my budget." Like, yes, we all have budgets and we need to, like, you might not be able to afford the $10,000 planner, but, like, sometimes what comes with that higher cost in a planner is experience
Mhm.
and sometimes it's worth it versus like, saving a couple $100 and going with this brand new planner. Sure, it was cheaper, but like, is it going to make the day what you want? I mean, just something to like think about.
Totally. And we just truly believe you do get what you pay for,
Hmm.
and that, like Jaden said, it's what you value and, like, what's
Yep.
important to you, but if it's important for you to have a relaxed, well thought out, well executed, and smooth day,
Very well written timeline.
it's
You
like a
need someone
no-brainer
who
to
knows what they're
hire
doing.
a planner who knows what they're doing.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah. So interview, check their reviews, talk to people who've worked with them.
yeah,
And like we said, you really should like your planner because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. So if you don't like their personality, move on to the
be a
next.
long year
Be
of
a lo
planning.
yeah.
Those are our timeline tips.
Yay,
We did
now
it.
good luck, go write
Go
your
write your
timeline.
timeline. Let us know if you have any questions.
Cheers.
Cheers.